What are those meannesses of the heart? I know you have a yeah, a chapter for each one of them in the book.
Yes, yeah,
Maybe
they're
touch on one
very,
or two as you feel, and
yeah,
our
yeah,
world seems we need this kind of medicine right now.
yeah, of course. So these meannesses, it's like a roadmap. He's saying if you don't need to try to be better than you are, or you don't need to focus on some abstract love or whatever. Work on, look at yourself and yourself within and see if this exists in your life. And so let me give an example. Racism, racial prejudice. Why is that a meanness? Well, if you look deep into what racism really implies, it is you have to think of the words of Dr. King, Martin Luther King. He says, "Look at no, don't look at the color of a man's skin, but look at the content of his character."
Mm.
So if you expand this definition of racism, you can say racism means that you are conditioned by outward appearance. And that means not only a race, it can also mean a face that you don't like,
Mm.
or a person who's disfigured, or a person who comes from a social class that you find coarse and not pleasant. And so you react to that and you basically separate those persons from your heart. And that natural love of the heart suffers at that point. So you do introspection and you look at yourself and you look your watch. And this is all, I wrote it in my book somewhere. Introspection needs to be supported by meditation, because then you have, by some meditation, a little bit every day, just watch the breath, or you know do what you can, but make sure you sit down and you have some time to just go within and focus. So if you look at within for racial, if there's any racism, the quote that I had on that chapter was a lady who is she's an African American, and she says, the funny thing with you don't need to be an anti-racist to, hold on, what does she say? You can be anti-racist while you're also a racist. So in other words, as long as you work on it, you go within. There are tests to see if a person is a racist or not. And you would be amazed how many people fail the test who would consider themselves not to be racists. But again, so this is all fairly mental, isn't it? So you work on observing yourself, you focus on, you meditate on. But if you consider racism as the inability to look beyond appearance, that already helps. And then again, if you work on it, the heart just rejoices. It's true that you do an intellectual, mental, and also, of course, a yogic meditative job. But at the same time, the heart opens because you're working on it. And because it's a meanness, it is an inner tension. It impedes, it makes the love suffer, or it represses it. So suppresses it. Yeah. So that's one. Another one that I remember is shame, for example. And there I had a sort of, I felt a funny interpretation of the story of Adam and Eve, because they, of course, they are made in God's image, which means that they're free. They're free to choose God or to choose something, an alternative to God, and they choose the alternative, and then they are ashamed because they choose basically physical pleasure instead of spiritual joy, basically, and then they are ashamed. So then the Bible says the Lord was walking in the garden at the mid of day, and he called them. And then Adam says, we don't want to come, we're hiding in the bushes, and because we're ashamed, we are naked. And then, of course, we know the story. They are expelled from paradise by an angel, I think, with a flaming sword and so forth. But you can also look at it differently and say, God was not expelling them. They were expelling God. They refused to come out of those bushes, take
Mm.
that fig leaf from their intimate parts, and just stand naked before their own beloved Father. What is there to hide when you stand in front of God? Nothing. But if you do hide, you have a problem. That is shame. And then you expel yourself, or you expel God from your heart. So if you have the courage and the complete honesty and sincerity to stand naked in front of your own father or your divine mother or your guru, then there is nothing to fear. And then again, that natural love of the heart is again, that always seeks connection with God, begins to awaken.